Good Wednesday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And welcome to KEPR Quick, your latest local news and weather, commercial free in 15 minutes or less. We're going to jump right over to weather, though, because we have some wind working its way into our area. How is that playing a role in our forecast?
Yeah, wind is definitely going to be the biggest weather hindrance on the day. It's going to be a sunny and windy day around the forecast area, and that has prompted the issuance of a red flag warning for some of us for Grant and Western Adams counties and even Northern Columbia County from 2 p.m. this afternoon until 8 p.m. this evening. There is going to be breezy winds and dry weather that will promote high fire danger. And in fact, I am a bit surprised that we don't see region-wide red flag warnings for today because everyone is going to be feeling those breezy, gusty winds. Looking at our weather headlines, it is going to be a sunny and windy Wednesday, as we have just discussed. As we get towards Friday, looking ahead a few days, it will be cloudy and much cooler, and then rain shower chances are actually going to return by Saturday. We'll touch more on all three of these weather headlines coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in the Tri-Cities. Kennewick Police are investigating a crash and a stabbing, both connected and happening late last night. According to KPD, at around 11:30, officers were dispatched to the 6900 block of West 27th Avenue for a report that a woman had been stabbed multiple times. Officers were also dispatched to a crash at Bob Olson Parkway at West 15th and West 15th Place. After investigating, police connecting the dots, learning that a 20-year-old man had stabbed the woman and then fled after she got away. The man then intentionally crashed into a pickup truck, injuring the driver. The 20-year-old was booked into jail and is facing felony vehicular assault charges, with others pending. The woman was transported to a local hospital with serious injuries but is stable. The truck driver's injuries are only minor. This is an ongoing investigation, and if you have any information, you're asked to contact non-emergency dispatch. A Grandview man is now in jail facing charges after an hours-long standoff with police. According to Grandview Police, they responded to the 400 block of Nika Road for a no-contact order violation. Police say the suspect had entered the victim's home through a window, and when police arrived, they say he told them he had a gun and a knife. The Yakima Regional SWAT team then responded, but the suspect refused to come out until chemical agents were shot into the house. A Wapato man is headed to federal prison for decades after sexually abusing 3 children. Jose Antonio Saldana was convicted on 3 counts of abusive sexual contact and aggravated sexual abuse on March 12th following a jury trial. According to the evidence presented, the abuse began back in August of 1999 and continued until January 2014. During the trial, the victims recounted the abuse they suffered, which included Saldana touching them under their clothing and trying to sexually abuse one of the victims. Saldana was sentenced to 45 years in prison, followed by a lifetime of supervised release. And we now know the name of the pedestrian killed Monday morning at Gage and North Louisiana Street. Kennewick Police say 61-year-old Brian Gull of Kennewick was crossing the road outside of a marked crosswalk when he was hit. Police say the driver of the vehicle stayed on the scene, and at this time there's no indication of impairment or speeding. Police will continue to investigate this deadly crash. And a crash involving a mini bike led to an arrest of a felony hit-and-run suspect in Richland. This happened at about 10:30 Monday night in a parking lot near the original Pancake House. Police say a 16-year-old unlicensed driver drove in front of an 18-year-old on a mini bike, causing the collision. The mini bike rider suffered a leg injury. Once police caught up to the 16-year-old, he was arrested for hit-and-run and taken to juvenile detention. A Warden man was injured in a 3-car pileup late Friday afternoon on Highway 17 just south of Moses Lake. According to the Washington State Patrol, the crash was reported just before 5:30 p.m. The collision was caused because 2 vehicles were slowing down due to an emergency vehicle coming the other way. Moses Lake teen rear-ended the car in front of him, and that vehicle then struck the one in front of it. The Warden man was taken to Samaritan Hospital in Moses Lake for treatment. No one else was injured in the crash. And switching gears, power is back on in a Pasco neighborhood after a driver crashed into the power pole, destroying it. Pasco police responded to the corner of A and 5th Avenue just before 7 a.m. They say the driver was heading eastbound when the hitch of their trailer broke, causing the driver to lose control and collide with the power pole. No injuries were reported, and Franklin PUD replaced the pole. The crash not only took out that pole, but also a neighbor's fence.
And heard not just a boom like you normally would hear when there's a wreck, but it continued, boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And when I came out the front door, it was just coming to a stop, and the entire front fence, it was gone completely.
There was an officer in the parking lot across the street, because there's almost always an officer at this time in the morning. And he was there, and he got to see the whole thing, and we're like, well, we don't have to call 911. All right.
Yeah, the police called themselves.
Now, the Ramseys say this is the third time in at least 7 years this pole has been hit. As for their fence, they say there's a silver lining, a chance to do some front yard landscaping. A mass casualty training event is scheduled for next week at Central Washington University. The simulation is happening Thursday, the 26th, in Barge Hall. The event will include trained actors to help make the simulation more realistic. CWU Emergency Management is conducting the exercise for response training purposes and to assess emergency preparedness. University leaders want everyone to know this is a training drill. They don't want the public to be concerned if they see the response. And the fire season continues. A fire near Toole Road south of Toppenish scorched around 250 acres of land yesterday. Yakima County firefighters had to gather water from a nearby irrigation canal and take it to the blaze. At around 5 yesterday afternoon, the fire was fully contained. And fire danger across Benton County is officially now at the high level. The move comes following an active week of fires sparking up across the region. Firefighters tell us with the fire conditions a month ahead of schedule, it could cause problems resource-wise down the road.
As we saw last week, there was a lot of collaboration, a lot of cooperation between multiple agencies to contain the fires. Fortunately, since it is the beginning of the year, those resources are available. As we progress into the fire season, those resources will become more limited.
Now, the new level placement means burning will now be restricted to just agricultural and recreational burns only, pending approval from fire district leaders. And with that, let's jump right over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan to talk some of the weather here. Jefferson, as we work our way into fire season, the collaboration, the cooperation between agencies are going to be pretty key as these temperatures, well, I mean, as they said, we're like a month ahead of schedule.
Yeah, a month ahead of schedule. We did see some pretty big fires last week, and today we are not under red flag warnings, but it is going to be windy, dry, and warm, so we really need to have fire safety on top of mind. In fact, I'm very surprised that we don't have region-wide red flag warnings on this Wednesday. But before we talk about the wind, let's talk about the temperatures we will experience today. Highs will be seasonably warm, rising primarily into the mid to upper 80s for the Tri-Cities today, low to mid 80s for the Yakima Valley. Anticipate upper 70s, near 80 degrees for the Kittitas Valley, with mid 80s coming for the Blue Mountain foothills, as absolutely everybody does see sunny skies overhead. Now let's discuss some of that wind we will see today. This afternoon through this evening will be quite blustery region-wide. We could see gusts as high as 35 miles per hour today for the Tri-Cities and Yakima, gusts up to 40 miles per hour in Pendleton, with gusts as high as 45 miles per hour this afternoon through this evening in the Kittitas Valley. So with temperatures in the primarily into the 80s around the region with these gusty winds, please practice that fire safety because it wouldn't take much of a fire to get out of control pretty quickly. Now, the good news is tomorrow, wind is going to be turning much lighter around the region. Even the typically windy Kittitas Valley will only see gusts as high as 25 miles per hour on Thursday. But for some foreshadowing, by Friday, winds are going to increase in strength once again. Now let's talk about the cool down coming our way. I know this is on top of mind for many folks. Tomorrow will feature highs only into the upper 70s to low 80s, so cooler than today. By Friday, we will be looking at temperatures only in the upper 60s to mid 70s. And then on Saturday is going to be a remarkably cool day, with most of us seeing mid to upper 60s. And even in the Tri-Cities on Saturday, we will endure upper 60s to low 70s. So a significant cool down coming our way. And there's even going to be some precipitation chances too. Taking a look at the Storm Tracker Futurecast on Saturday, namely Saturday afternoon. That is when showers will become pretty widespread around our forecast area. We will hold on to widespread shower activity well into Saturday evening, and then even into Sunday, we are going to be holding on to at least a chance of showers for the Blue Mountains and adjacent foothills, as most of the rest of the region is drying things out on Sunday. So a cool and active weekend coming our way, a big departure from the weather we have seen recently. We'll continue to track this through the week, but right now, I'm throwing it back to Dave.
Thanks, Jefferson. Business news this morning, a longtime fixture of the Yakima fast food industry is closing its doors. Taco Time closed a number of restaurants in the Evergreen State last summer, but now the Yakima businesses are on the chopping block. Taco Time has been operating in Yakima for close to 50 years, but the stores on First Street and Nob Hill are both permanently closed, despite signs posted on the Nob Hill store saying they're closed for maintenance. No public statement has yet been given regarding the closures. Fluoride is something you brush your teeth with every day, but it's also often added to our water supply. Monday night, the Pasco City Council voted to initiate the process of removing fluoride from the water, citing potential health concerns. Local dentists attended and shared their concerns.
Some of the questions we've received are people wondering where this came from, and truth be told, constituents are asking for it to be removed, as we are the only city in the Quad Cities that adds it. Some of the best current data available is connecting cognitive ability and lower IQ in children to fluoridation.
What you heard about fetal development, etc., that's not the position of the American Dental Association or the vast majority of normal practicing dentists.
The council voted 5-2 to study the potential impacts that removing fluoride could have. We'll update you when they plan to discuss it again. And sticking in Pasco, residents can voice their opinion on the future of recreational parks throughout the community at a meeting tonight at City Hall. Organizers tell us this will allow for the parks to reflect the needs and priorities of the community.
We're trying to kind of set a standard for the park. So you can say for Pasco community parks or Pasco neighborhood parks, they're all going to be at least this standard. And then we'll be able to use those standards then for working with developers in the development of new parks, as well as then going back and looking at our already existing parks.
Now, tonight's meeting focused on neighborhood parks across the city. A link to a virtual option of the meeting, as well as an online comment form, can be found up on our website, KEPRTV.com. A nonprofit organization is getting a $10,000 grant to improve their cafe and expand their services. Mid-Columbia Meals on Wheels is expanding their kitchen not only to serve more senior citizens, but do it at a faster pace. Thanks to Patel, they're able to update their equipment, which includes a larger steam table, a new refrigerator, and more.
It's really cool to see groups in the community like Patel that put out these grant opportunities for ourselves and other nonprofits, because that really helps, just bridge that gap from the funding that we already receive to help us, meet our mission, meet our goals, and to keep moving forward with the growth that we see.
Now, Meals on Wheels is ordering the new pieces week by week and hope to have everything remodeled by the end of the summer. And finally, from tiaras and dresses, to crowns and advocacy, 2 beauty pageant queens are empowering women in the community while also focusing on efforts to protect them. KEPR Stephanie Rivera has the details.
Tiaras and sparkly dresses are what comes to mind when people think of a beauty pageant. These 2 young women are changing the stereotype by turning their crown into a microphone.
When you invest in pageantry, it's not just girls walking around in dresses on stage, but I got to share with them my personal story, because I encountered a homeless woman in the park, and through a conversation I realized that she was being trafficked, and that's what sparked my passion for wanting to help.
Miss Tri-Cities is a regional pageant that is part of the Miss American organization, a national beauty pageant since 1921. Hatley Blazer won Miss Teen Tri-Cities and is vocal about her dyslexia. She's empowering women with the same disability to be more confident.
For years I thought I was never going to be good enough because of my dyslexia, and I went to pageants and that's mindset. And it took me a couple years to realize that through pageants, that's where I can grow and get empowered, and that's how I got empowered and confident, and now I feel confident on stage.
Kylie Glenn Dunning won Miss Tri-Cities. With this title, she was able to turn her platform into an anti-trafficking campaign. Dunning has spoken to the Pasco Board of Education about the CW law to change education on anti-trafficking issues, along with making therapeutic care packages available for survivors.
I was actually able to connect with a real survivor of sex trafficking who is an advocate, and partner with her to create the bare bones of a curriculum to make it for free in Washington State for teachers to be able to reach and respond to kids in the education system who may have been trafficked, and be able to identify that and have appropriate resources for that free of charge.
These beauty queens will be competing for the state title, Miss Washington and Miss Teen Washington, in July in Olympia. If you didn't get the opportunity to compete this year for Miss Tri-Cities, applications are now available with the possibility of earning a $5,000 scholarship.
If I have enjoyed pageants, I don't know where I would be right now, because this has really given me an outlook to be able to not only find who I am, but be the person other people need and deserve.
Reporting from Kennewick, I'm Stephanie Herrera for KEPR Action News.
And KEPR Stephanie Rivera, thank you. And thank you for watching this episode of KEPR Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites, KEPR and KIMATV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. Have a wonderful Wednesday.